Good evening. Okay, I like that. Okay. First, I'd like to give honor to God, who is the head of my life. And I'd like to thank Pastor Ringo for inviting me and everybody who's been a part of this wondrous and fantastic show of God's power, grace, and mercy. And I know we talked about, it's torch and it's on fire, but we're going to talk about how God can use anything right now, okay? So let's get started. So God can use your crazy and your enemies. Say it with me. God can use your crazy and your enemies, okay? And we're going to give some examples. We're going to get real, okay? So everybody bear with me. So we're going to start with Moses. At the beginning of Exodus, Pharaoh was like, okay, the Hebrews, they multiplying. We got to do something about it. So he put out a whole decree, throw all the babies in the water to die by drowning and to be eaten by the crocs. But God had other plans. So he was put in a basket by his mother, and that same channel that was supposed to destroy him was used to have him start a new life. And he was delivered to Pharaoh's daughter, and he was raised up as a prince of Egypt, okay? So God used the water that was supposed to kill him, actually saved him. So remember that. Now, fast forward, he became a young man. And this is, when I was reading this, I was like, oh, shoot, Moses might be a little crazy. And being a prince of Egypt, and he's the most, he's one of the most powerful people on the planet because Egypt had it going on back in the day. He must have felt some type of way and must have had something in him that was fiery, that was untamed, because when he saw an Egyptian beating on a Hebrew, this man let loose and crashed out and killed him. In cold blood, didn't even think about it. He was like, oh, no, you done. And then that's when Moses' life changed, because Pharaoh found out he had to run. He was a fugitive. He was an outlaw, okay? So that same man that had that unchecked rage, that had that pompous prince attitude, that had, the Egyptians believed they were gods when they were royalty. They were the sun, the moon. Y'all saw Prince of Egypt, right? So that same man that thought he was all that and took revenge and power into his own hand, he became, through God's power, through the burning bush, through the toils of the desert, he became the most humble man on the planet, according to Numbers 12. He was so humble at this time, in his age and in his maturity. This same man who just killed somebody out of anger and pride, he prayed for his enemies, who was his own brother and sister. And his brothers and sister was, they were being prejudiced against his Cushite wife at the time. And God was about to smite them. He wasn't playing. But Moses humbled himself before the Lord and said, God, I know they're tripping, but please spare my family. And then he just gave Miriam leprosy, and Aaron, he humbled himself, so he got cut free. But he went and humbled himself after all that work, but he was crazy at first. And I'm going to tell you how I was a little crazy at first. So I had an unchecked anger problem growing up. I had an unchecked fire. And it came out one day when I was in third grade. One of my classmates stole my M&Ms. Of course, it's third grade, M&Ms, yeah. See, you already know where this is going. But he stole them, and he had his head turned. This is important. I pulled on his shirt so hard for so long that he couldn't breathe. And I didn't stop until one of my classmates told me that his face was purple. So that's what we get into. But the same God that checked Moses, he checked me, and now I'm speaking to you today as someone who is used to help people control their own emotions. I have a whole emotional regulation program for athletes and high performers. That don't sound like the same kid that choked somebody out for the M&Ms. That's not the same kid. That's not. That's nothing but God. He took that same frame, same soul, same fire, and he just cured it into his work. I'm not a finished product, but he uses this fire now to get angry at what the devil's doing to his people. So the same kid that got angry over dumb stuff, I get angry at the demons that are causing mental illness. I get mad at depression. I get mad at anxiety. I get mad at PTSD that just won't leave. I get mad to the thoughts that just won't go. I get mad to the systems that keep these demons in place. The same kid that got bullied is the same one who drives out bullies now. The same God that delivered him is delivering each and every one of us. And to further elaborate on that, you remember I talked about the water. That same channel that was supposed to kill Moses delivered him. Now, when the Hebrews were led to the Red Sea, what happened? It split. So the waters were parted. It was supposed to be a barrier. It's supposed to be a death trap. Okay? Now here's where the enemies come in. The Egyptians were following the Hebrews so closely that when all the Hebrews got through the Dead Sea that was split, when they began to close down by God's command, the Egyptians couldn't come out because they were that close to the Hebrews' tail. So when the Hebrews, who were supposed to be in a death trap, sprung the death trap for the enemy, that same channel that was supposed to keep them stuck delivered them, but kept the enemy stuck. So that, if you ever feeling stuck and you feel the enemy coming, the trap is already sprung for them. And that same God is in you, working through you in all the realms in your life right now, whether it's at the store, the hospital, the house, because I know he be working there for everybody, I know mine, and everything else. He is working. He is working. He took the same little boy that choked somebody out for M&Ms, that now choked mental illness out for his clients and for his students through the power of the Holy Ghost. We love to stomp on serpents now. We love to stomp on scorpions now. We love to stomp on doubt now. And that's the only reason why I'm before you today. He took the same little boy. This is why I love Moses. He had a stutter problem. He couldn't talk. He pleaded with God. God, don't send me. I can't talk. And I stand before you today. I had a lisp. I had a stuttering problem. I couldn't even read or write. See, you know, family. You know. Look, now I'm speaking good to y'all, right? If he could do that with me, I'm excited what he's going to do with y'all. I'm excited. If he could take the same little boy who got bullied, who was skinny, who couldn't even walk good and could not play, and made him to a scholarship level athlete that now inspires and builds scholarship level athletes and champions outside of the field, I can't even imagine what he's going to do with y'all. And last thing, how the Lord works. If back to Moses, if Moses just took a step back, like he did in his, the later part of his life, and let God handle it, like he did with the Red Sea, if he took that same mindset, put it with that Egyptian, probably would have been better. But there was one instance at Mount, when I transferred there to play football. One of the first Saturday workouts, I had a wrist brace on. Broke my wrist. I couldn't, if I was a bird, I couldn't fly at all. But a dude pushed me out the workout line. And let me tell you something. That fire and crazy was still in there. I wanted to take this part of my elbow and connect it to his jaw so he could drink out of a straw. And after I checked him verbally, I prayed on it and I let it be. A year later, there was only so many spots on the roster. And let's say I got moved because the same coaches that were there that recruited me, they left. I was stuck. I wasn't playing. But then they moved me to a totally different position. And guess whose position I took? That same dude. And I remember that talking to the locker room. He's like, shoot, I was good traveling, the first 2 weeks, but Birch took my spot. So now we just chilling, getting high. And we just come to practice. And I'm just going to finish out this last year. And that probably taught him more than anything that could have healed with a broken jaw. So when God is like, step back, we need to get out the way. And then he could use your fire wherever else. Because going back to Mount Union, even though I went through so much trouble with playing and hardly playing and depression from not playing and anxiety from not playing and all this crazy stuff off the field, Mount Union was the first place I spoke to for student-athlete mental health advocacy this last fall. And your brother got paid for it, let me tell you something. So he used the enemy's trap so I could step on it and to be elevated. So the same God that took somebody who couldn't talk, allowed him to speak, what words is he forming in you right now? The same God that took somebody who would destroy relationships and almost destroy people now has a gift in building and connecting with people. What is he building with you in your fellowships? The same God that delivered the Hebrews from bondage after 400 years, but he delivered them in a short amount of time, broke them through every chain, every stronghold. What is he breaking you from? But are you ready to step out? Are you ready to go? Are you ready to get past the water? Are you ready to ride the channel that looks scary and it looks like a death trap? But are you willing to surrender and just float on by? And as I stand here before you, it was hard trying to swim against the current. But I always got there a whole lot faster when I just floated. So I asked my people, just float, sit back, and let God take you where you need to go.